everyone, I have been asked if I can do a little demo from this page here. Now this is from Flora by Maria Trolle, and this page I've looked up the names of these flowers as I had guessed when I did the flip through. These are sometimes called morning glory. I've written down the name, the Latin name, Ipomea purpurea. It's in the back of the book, so I haven't done anything too clever, but I just copied it out because I can't really pronounce it. Now we've got a repeating pattern here, essentially, that, you know, we've got all the same flowers and all the same leaves. What I thought I would do was just take a little bit and show you how I would approach one flower and one leaf, and then sort of leave you to it, as it were. Now these come in lots of different colours. I'm going to slightly make something up a little bit colour-wise, and the leaves again. Now the request was to try and do something realistic with the leaves. Now it's quite hard to colour realistically, but I'm going to do my best really, and just show you a few little ideas. So I'm using my Castle Arts pencils. I've got the 120 set here in front of me, and that's what I'm going to use. Obviously you can use any pencils you like, and what I've decided to do is to do these in a sort of purples and this in green. So let's get started. I am going to use the cadmium green as my base for the leaf, and I'm just going to start by putting, I've got a piece of paper by the way under the page, always do that, just to protect the picture behind. I think not only does it protect it from ink sort of movement from one page to the other, so this ink can actually go onto the opposite page. I don't know if that happens in this book. It happens in some books, so it depends all on the way it's printed and the ink and that sort of thing. It's always best to do it anyway. It also helps protect against indentations from the pencil, which shouldn't happen if you're gentle enough, but you never know. And if you've coloured the picture on the back, then it stops that colour transferring to the opposite page. It always will. The softer your pencil, the more likely it is, but it just always will. So here's my first layer. It's not particularly tidy, it's just to get a little bit of pencil down. Now I'm going to choose a much darker colour. I am going to pick the chrome green. This is in the same sort of colour family in that it's an olivey, yellowy green. And I'm thinking the centre here, got this vein going through the middle, and I'm thinking maybe it dips a bit along here. Maybe the leaf is a bit you know, lower in that part, so it would be darker. So I'm going to put a darker colour into the middle. So I'm going to layer it up a lot along that centre line and then fade it out towards the outside like this. And then we'll do the same across the other side as well. So it looks, hopefully it will look like there's a dip in the middle, and I'll do that on every leaf the same way. Now, making your leaves realistic, one thing, I'm also going to make it darker around the edge to make it look as if the edge is slightly turned. If you look at a proper tree, bush, plant, whatever, you'll see that the leaves aren't all the same colour. They catch the light at different angles. Some of them are yellowy, they might be dying off, they might have bits of brown on the edges like dead bits, they might be nibbled by caterpillars and things like that. Now if you want to represent that in your picture, you absolutely could do, but I tend not to want to do that. I tend to like my leaves to look a little bit more over perfect with regards to, this is back to the cadmium green. I'm going to go over the top of all of those darker areas and layer it up a lot on top of the edge and less towards the middle, to sort of repeat what I've done with the dark, really, just to start layering up that colour. So I prefer it to look, as I say, sort of cleaner less natural really, but you know, it's up to you. Another thing some people do is put little water droplets on leaves. That can make it look like it's raining, or there's dew or things like that. But again, that's quite a tricky technique. I do have a video for water droplets, but it's not something that I do very often. There we go. So I'm just going to try to fade it off a bit on these edges. We're going to use a slightly lighter colour in that gap. But I'm going to go over this middle bit as well, and this just helps to fill in the gap, darken the colour and blend it. It's good to put down quite a few layers. It can be easy to think, right, here's the colour I want my leaf, one colour, I'm just going to pop that down, and I do that too, you know, but if you want, but it can make a big difference having a couple of colours. So that's why I thought I would show you that today. So what I want is this bit here where it's all light, in a quite a light colour. What should we use? This one's quite light. Maybe that's not quite light enough. I'm thinking maybe the leaf green light might work. I'm going to just try it, and I'm only going to use it in this area because I don't want to lighten the whole leaf. I want it to look like it's got this bit of shape. Got quite a lot of pencil bits going everywhere because I'm pressing a bit too hard, to be honest. There we go. And then I will get my brush and I will just brush it off. Now, on this side it's not as light as that side, so I can add a bit more, but it's not going to because I didn't leave such a gap. It's my fault. Like that. Now here it's quite a harsh line. You can choose to blend that in a bit more if you want to. You'll need to use your darker colour to do that, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I am going to grab my chrome green again and just re-emphasise this dark bit because I've gone over this with a lighter colour. It's faded it a little bit, so I want to get that dark layer back on top. It's quite good to layer up. The more layers you use, obviously you can't use infinite layers. Eventually the paper becomes too full of pencil. What's the word I'm looking for? Can't think. So you can't add any more, but you can add quite a few layers. I'm still trying to think of the word that I mean. I don't know, my brain doesn't want to work. So there is our leaf. So I've just used those three colours. I'm just going to use actually the cadmium green again, just to go over this. I can see a bit too much white too much tooth of feather paper. But there we are. There's our leaf. So all my leaves will look similar to that. I'm having a quick look. I do a few of these stemmy bits. It's always tricky. Do you do the stem in the lighter colour, in the darker colour? I always think it's best when it's this thin. We can't do a lot with it unless we go for our sharpest point and fiddle around. So I'm just going to use the chrome green, which is the dark colour, to do it because it will stand out nicely like that. And the same across all the stems, and nothing fancy at all. When we come to this bit, you see this bit that's holding the flower, we could do a little bit different with this. We've got a few bits like this on the picture. In fact, I've just noticed that it repeats at the top, so it looks identical. So I think there's almost not quite, a few bits that repeat. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm going to keep it up here like that, like I have with all the stems, but once we get to here I'm going to just keep this on the edge and then try and just lighten it a bit towards the middle like that, and then use the cadmium green. It's my favourite green. In the middle like that, and maybe even a bit of the leaf green light right in the centre. I don't know whether it will show up very much because I've covered so much of the of it, but hopefully I'm going to grab my chrome green. I'm actually just going to sharpen it to a sharp point. There we go. I haven't sharpened all of these, it's a new set that Castle sent me. Oh, I was going to tell you while I was doing this that I do have a discount code. It's one use only though for Castle Art, which you can't use in conjunction with any other code as far as I would guess. But it's in the description if you're buying directly from Castle. If you want the Castle pencil, anything from Castle you can use it for, not just these pencils that they sent me. And also I've got the Amazon links for the book and for the pencils if you want them on Amazon. Now the very centre of here, I feel like I want it to look like it's got a bit more of a deep gully in there rather than it just looking quite green. And I'm trying to decide whether to use a black or a burnt umber for that. I think I'm going to use a black. I think the burnt umber might just look a bit brown. So I think this will look more like shadow. I'm going to go right along this centre part here, all the way along the vein, and then a little bit to the side, just a tad, like that. I'm not breathing while I'm doing it, I don't know why. And that looks a little bit more like there's a cut, a deep depth, and we'll just go over all of the veins with this darker colour, or else they're going to look a little bit old if they all match. It all sort of makes sense. So there's our leaf. Now the flower I haven't quite planned. I've got a few ideas. See how it goes. So as I say, I wanted to do it purple, and I mean the sort of violets, you know, the more bluey colours. I'm going to start with the mulberry actually, right in the bottom, in the middle. So I'm thinking there are different ways to do these. You can, this might be white in the centre because of the markings of the flower, but I think it's much easier to do it dark. So we want to make it look like this is deep inside. You see, look at this one is a cup, and that's how that is, but it's drawn flat. So we have to try and give the illusion that we're looking down deep into that flower, like here, can you see? So because it's drawn facing straight on, we have to find a way of doing that. So I'm going to start, as I say, with the mulberry. I've sharpened it and I'm going to work my way around these little dots. I'm not going to worry about those at the moment. And just put some dark colour right down in the bottom here and just gently spread it out. So now I am thinking about where is the bottom of this? Where does it stretch to? Do these lines go all the way to the bottom? Maybe that's probably it. So I'm just going to put an extra layer over and around. Now this rest of it I still want to be purple, but if we do it a little bit lighter, hopefully we'll get the impression that that is a slightly more three-dimensional shape. So I'm going to use my purple lake. Nope, that's not what I've grabbed though. Grabbed the wrong colour. This is the purple lake. It might not be dark enough, but I'm going to try it first and see. So what I want to do is to go around here. So I'm using a fairly light layer at the minute because I can darken it if I feel I need to, and then lighten it as I go up. Now you might want to do a stripy design on this, sometimes they are, but I wanted to keep it simpler than that and just use one colour. See how I am fading, fading, fading. Now what it looks like these flowers do is that you've got a deep middle and then it flattens out. So this bit here is flat, that bit's deep, and then this bit's quite flat. So we've got to try and do that with our colours. So I'm actually just going to put a layer across here, a layer over all of it. I think it's going to help me to think. I don't know if that makes sense. And look, this bit we've got, I think this bit is raised, so we can fill in some of those bits too. And just work out how to colour it really. As you put down your layer, you can have a look at the shape of it, where the lines are, what's going on with it, what is it supposed to look like. Now, a reference photo can be really useful if you want something to look realistic. The best way for me, perhaps because I can't visualise things very well, I can't bring one to mind. If you can bring one to mind that's exact and copy that, brilliant, good for you. I cannot do that. So a reference photo can be very useful, but I haven't brought one through. I've decided to sort of make it a mix of what I know these look like and what how I want it to look. Okay, so hopefully now you can see there's some depth in here. I can definitely see that with my eye. And what we're going to do is to put some shadow in where this is curved. So here, look, in there, I feel they'd be shadow because I think this is sticking up. The petal is sort of bent right into there, I would say, right down that gap there. Whereas this one I think is lower down here. Now don't worry about the fact we've got a lot of paper showing where we'll use another colour to go over this and to work it through. I'm going around this way, I think it's a little bit easier. So this bit curves, so that curves down and it's low, so I'm thinking maybe this is a slightly lower bit, like that. And then in here, and there, and I think there. It's not always easy to guess quite where to put your shade, but I'm just using the lines and the bumps and just guessing partly, I think, against there and there. So if it sticks out, then I think it would be that curve that way. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, just put a little bit there. Okay, so there's a few lines and shapes. You can see it's starting to take shape a little bit, but I want some, I don't want this looking so papery. I can't find my words this afternoon. I don't want to see the paper through so much, so I'm going to grab a mauve and I'm going to use that on the areas that I want to be lightest. So here, in there, what's going on there? Not sure. That bit I think is light. This bit. Oops. And then I sort of have to fill in the gaps really, with something somewhere in between. I'm actually thinking I'm going to use the Purple Lake Deep. Maybe the mulberry. No. Purple Lake Deep, my favourite colour, to emphasise these dips. It's a bit pinker than the Purple Lake, but that's okay. There we go, and now I'm going to go back to my Purple Lake and sort of fill in the rest. So I wanted that bit to be lighter, So I'm just going to bring this colour up a little bit towards where I think it would be light to add even more idea of shape, like that, and the same on this one. And up there, in fact I think that would be dark. It just looks like somehow to me there should be a dip there. I can't explain why. It's not much use, is it really? I'm thinking that bit's darker there, that bit's lighter. I can't work out what's going on there, so I'm going to come over here and just put a darker bit there and just build the colour up here a little bit until we get to that bit. Oh, excuse me. And then build up here and up this side. I'm thinking maybe a bit darker in there. And then build that up a bit. And that bit there. That's a bit flat. I think that's okay though. I think that's quite dipped in there. Maybe that is the, yeah, there we go. Make sure we go to the edge. I don't know why I decided I didn't need to. I think we'll bring that up from there and up from this side. Still, I think I'll just bring a bit of colour up from there. Make that a dip. Like that. There we go. So there is our flower. As I say, I find it easier making it all one colour. I realise I've used 4 colours, but it's not like it's stripy or something, because if you want to try and show the folds and the petals and put a stripe in, I think that's tricky. I mean, I think these, it could be that those are supposed to be stripes, but I quite like doing it this way anyway. Now we've got the very centre of our flower, and I thought about using a pen for that, just because I've got Posca pens here, just because it's quite intricate, and the colours, I want it to be a paler colour, and because I've gone over the lines, I knew I would. The pencil isn't going to show up. Now I hadn't decided what colour I was going to do, hence me bringing through 3. This is the lovely light pink, this is the lovely sunshine yellow, and this is the yellow. I think the yellow is going to work really well, and I'm only going to do it on those 3 dots. Now normally I would wait till the end to do Posca. I would do everything first, so background, everything, and then leave it for a day to dry because it takes a while. But for purposes of demonstration, I'm going to do it right now for you and just put in those 3 yellow dots. I'm just seeing, yeah, there we go. So that is it really. I mean, I say that is it. That's 23 minutes for 1 leaf and 1 flower. But it took me a while to explain and build up layers. What I would do now with the rest myself, what I will do is I will take my cadmium green and I'll do all the leaves. Then I'll take my chrome green, I'll do all the dark areas on the leaves and all the vines and things. Then I'll, you know, so I will do all of them, and it's much quicker that way. And also because I've worked out what I'm doing, that makes it a lot easier as well. But there we go. I will share the completed page with you. May not be at the end of this video because I've got a little bit behind in my recording, so I might not have time to get it done before the video goes out, but I will share it on my Facebook page, on my Instagram, and in my completed pages at the end of the month. So I'll get it done by the end of the month so you can see it. So that's that. So yeah, so I hope that was okay. Yeah, I think it's rather like using my favourite purple, so that was good fun for me. But of course you can do the same sort of technique with any set of colours. Basically I've got sort of a very dark, a mid, a lighter and a very light, and the same with the greens, just a dark, mid and light tone. So you know, you don't, and the black as well, which you could use some black in the centre of the flower as well. I didn't think I needed it because that mulberry was a very deep colour, but it depends what shade. If you choose pink, you might not have a deep enough one, so you might want to use a black or a really dark purple or something. But you can use any colours, just following that technique along. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a really great day and happy colouring.